Everybody, it's the Millennial Prepster here, and so I'm going to do a video for you guys. Don't want to make this too long, but I want to get this out there for you guys. It's 11 annoying things vegans say to preppers and homesteaders. And so I made this because this is the most annoying things that I've heard since I started making these videos. Like, people have commented, personally messaged me, very upset. Like I said, I don't know why they're so upset. Usually they claim it's the other way around and meat eaters are upset, but I think it's just because I don't fit the traditional mold of what a meat eater is. And using the facts that the skewed facts they have, your typical average meat eater that is dependent on big plant and animal agriculture, they're not intimately familiar with where their food comes from, and at the end of the day, they really don't have a whole lot of feet to stand on in regards to debating. But a guy like me is a little different. By a guy like me, I mean people like us, people that grow our own food, people that try every day with the number one goal of sustainability. We have a different outlook on these things, and so I feel like vegans have this traditional box that they like to put all meat eaters in, and then when they see somebody who is in the sustainability movement, they don't really know what to do with you. But these are the top 11. And the reason why I say the top 11 is because these are usually the things that snag your average meat eater into submission, so to speak. These are really the places where they're really good at it. They're really good at arguing these points, and for people like us, I mean, it's so easy to refute these things that it's not even funny. So I just thought that I would refute the common catch-all annoying vegan comebacks, right? We'll call it that. So number one, you wouldn't eat your dog, would you? What if I ate your dog? What's the difference between the life of a dog and the life of your rabbit, right? What's the difference between a dog or a cow or a pig or insert any animal here, right? And so the first thing I would say to that is, number one, I don't have a dog. I'm one of those weird people, I guess, that I don't have a dog or cat or anything like that. So, I mean, if you did eat the dog, it wouldn't be mine. Number two, I don't eat dogs and cats for the same reason. I don't eat soy or poison ivy. I mean, I don't eat grains because they're not good for you, really. They're not nutrient dense options. Poison ivy, isn't really edible. There's a lot of plants that aren't edible, and I could say to you, why would you not eat an unedible plant, right? So, I mean, that kind of goes to say. But if you want to get more specific, sure. First, somebody who's based upon sustainability, if they're eating cat and dog, it's not economically feasible unless you're in a failing socialist state like we've seen in Venezuela, Cuba, Russia, North Korea. People are actually doing that. People right now, today, as this video is being made and played and watched, there are people that are in failed socialist states that are eating pets because they need food so bad that they have resorted to that, which is really sad. And the famines that we've seen in Russia back in the early 1900s, cannibalism ensued. It was common practice, and in some of the Asian countries, the same thing can be seen. So yeah, it's very unfortunate and it's very sad. But yeah, so it's not economically feasible. Cost-reward analysis, benefit analysis for eating cats and dogs isn't really there. The amount of time it takes to raise them. Like, I'm just being very, very blunt and practical with you. That's really the reasons why. I mean, and yeah, we can get into other things, but that's pretty much the basis of it. And also because I live in a great country called the United States of America, and I have a choice in what I eat. That's another reason why I choose not to eat dog and cat. And then lastly, if you ate my dog, well, I don't have a dog, so okay. Number two, I can tell you that if you try to eat my rabbits, we would have a problem because my rabbits are very valuable to me and my family. So yeah, we would have an issue if you tried to do that. If I had to choose between one of my rabbit does and my pet dog, I would choose my rabbit doe over my pet dog. It has more value to me and my family than a dog would. And lastly, I also grow a lot of plants and food, plant-based food on my property. And if you try to come on my property and eat my plants, I would also be very, very mad, equally upset, because that's also those plants are of value and food commodity to me and my family, and I will do whatever I can to protect that. So I don't know where you're going with that one, but yeah, answered that one for you. Number two, grass-fed livestock is not sustainable. I guess Cowspiracy, Forks and Knives, Earthling Ed, Happy Vegan, all these different people have skewed facts on big animal and plant agriculture, but grass-fed livestock is 100% sustainable. I mean, I do it just with the perennial grasses I grow in my front and backyard for all my rabbits. So it's 100% sustainable. I do it. So unless I'm doing something and somehow I just have magic and magic's happening, it's super sustainable. And in fact, I can produce 1 year of grass-fed rabbit meat with non-GMO, non-grain, non-antibiotic, non-hormone, non-chemical meat, or one year's worth with less resources, less environmental impact, and less water than it takes to produce 1 gallon of almond milk. So yeah, super sustainable. Number 3, I hate it when vegans immediately go to big animal agriculture facts. I agree, big agriculture is bad, both plant and animal agriculture is bad. Hence why people in the sustainability movement, we grow our own food. Yeah, so we're totally on the same page there, but 99% of vegans are 100% dependent upon big plant agriculture. Okay, right? Number 4, when vegans reference the frugivore chimpanzee ideology, when they say that we are not omnivores, we're frugivores because chimpanzees are frugivores, and we're designed to be frugivores. We weren't designed to eat meat. I will totally agree with the science. We share over 98% of our genetic code with chimpanzees. Also, if you know anything about Jane Goodall, which most vegans don't for some reason, they don't seem to be very educated, Jane Goodall is probably the legend of chimpanzees and apes as far as her scientific studies and medical research. Her books and all her studies are the gold standard for studies on chimpanzees especially. And it's been documented, and this is 100% scientific fact. Chimpanzees hunt and eat meat. Annually, one chimpanzee will consume 2,000, I repeat, 2,000 pounds of meat. 1 ton of meat that they hunt. And most of this meat comes from other primates. So I don't know where this frugivore argument comes from, or the idea that chimpanzees only eat ants or insects or whatever it is. You're getting your weird skewed statistics on the fact that vegans don't even know who Jane Goodall is. Really blows my mind. It blows my mind how. Anyway, I mean, I'm just a country minority living in the United States of America, and I know this. This is common knowledge, right? I guess not. Number five, the ethics of veganism, right? So I'm going to try to hit on this really quick. This is the biggest one. I don't understand how veganism is ethical, right? The first thing I'm going to talk about is if you're a vegan, consumer vegan, and by consumer vegan, I mean you're a vegan because your ability to use an oil-powered car transportation, to leave your oil-powered domicile, to go to an oil-powered store, to buy plant-based products that are grown in a level 1 carcinogen known as fertilizer, that are treated with pesticides whose intent is to kill other living organisms. The only intent of pesticides is to kill living organisms. Then you go to the cash register, which you pay for these plant-based products with fiat currency, and then you go back in your oil-powered transportation back to your oil-powered house. That's what a consumerism vegan is, 100%. That's what you are. And so somehow that is ethical over somebody like me really blows my mind, but we'll get into the nitty-gritty. So a couple things we have to address here is the intent, the very intent of pesticides is to kill other living organisms. It's the intent, right? 67 million birds annually in the United States alone are killed because of pesticides. $2.1 billion annually is the cost of that bird loss in the United States alone. The big agriculture sector accounts for 71% of all child labor. 108 million children are engaged in agricultural work, and they are forced into these labor camps. 108 million children by no choice of their own, mind you. 153,000 metric tons of chemicals, mostly chemical fertilizers, flow into the Gulf in the month of May alone. A conservative estimate, so on the low end, 6 to 14 million fish annually are killed due to pesticides. Pesticides harm 97% of all endangered species in the United States of America. So I guess at the end of the day, I have to really ask you is, based upon these being the facts, and based upon you do eat food, plants that are grown in cancer using petrochemicals that are sprayed with pesticides, whose only goal is to kill other living organisms, which also harms children because of child labor and the fact they have to interact with these pesticides. How do you consider that to be more moral than somebody that grows their own food? I really don't understand that. And then, if we're really talking about the nitty-gritty, and I'll make this really quick and then I'll move on, how unethical is being a meat eater? Because at the end of the day, as a vegan, you support businesses that hang up murdered animals by the rafters. You support that. Not only do you support that, you give them your fiat currency in exchange for goods. These are the same vegans that will say, hey, we got to boycott Chick-fil-A, we got to boycott this baker because of their views on gay marriage and because their views on race or whatever it is. You have no problem saying, hey, traditional marriage, people that support that are messed up people, we need to boycott it. But yet you don't boycott stores that sell murdered animals as a vegan, and you're going to somehow virtue signal with me? At least I even opt out of that. Because I think big animal agriculture is horrible. And you guys over here supporting, like, yeah, take my money, take some more of it? Like, really? Like this is the world we live in? This is your virtuous, this is you virtue signaling? This is you showing how virtuous you are? So at the end of the day, I really have to ask you, like, really, honestly, how bad is being a meat eater? Because at the end of the day, man, if you are going to give your money to meat eaters, if you're going to have friends and family that are meat eaters, if you're going to openly say you love a meat eater, and you're going to give, and you would have no problem giving a meat eater a letter of recommendation, inviting them to your home, having them interact with your children, having them interact with your family, your wife, calling them friends openly in public, then it must not be that bad, man. Unless you have friends that are openly racist. You have friends that are openly racist, openly homophobic. Because meat eaters eat meat probably more, 3 times a day. There's animal products somewhere in their meals. Like, how bad is it really? Would you go to a store that was openly racist? Because, I mean, really, if we're going to be real, because I live in a reality, right? So the reality is, tell me, how bad is it? Because if you're telling me that you don't have racist friends, you don't have homophobic friends, you don't have friends that, will openly do these horrific things as far as race, being homophobic, being a Nazi, you wouldn't have a Nazi friend, but you'll have a meat eater friend. Would you be friends with a murderer? But you'll be friends with a meat eater, right? So, just call it what it is. All right, number 6. It's okay, millennial prepster. Don't worry about B12 and other nutrient deficiencies that are common within the realm of veganism. Don't worry about it till it happens. Yeah, somebody really told me that. So, just 2 things on that. Totally defeats the purpose of being prepared. If you're telling me I have to wait until there's a nutrient deficiency before I can start doing something about it. And I think that's pretty hypocritical because you're telling me don't worry about a B12 deficiency or other nutrient deficiencies, but vegan doctors and plant-based doctors have no problem saying that you need to be on supplementation. They actually recommend 5 to 6 different types of supplementation that vegans should be intaking. So it's kind of hypocritical that you are taking a pill right now for B12 and other nutrients that you need. But you're telling me, hey, millennial prepster, don't worry about those nutrient deficiencies until they happen, and you're taking supplements every day. Yeah, screw off. Number 7. You don't need to eat meat to be healthy, so you shouldn't, right? And I can say no problem that I believe you can be a happy, healthy vegan given the right parameters and supplementation. And based upon what I've seen in the research and what the vegan doctors are saying, they recommend 5 to 6 different types of supplements you should be taking. And then me being, if I were to be a good vegan, I would only buy from stores that are vegan only, and I would buy all the supplements that have no animal products and don't support animal products. You're looking at about $100, $150 a month annually on supplementation, right? I'm sure you can find it cheaper, but the fact that you would be even bragging about how cheap you can get supplementation, you're talking to a guy who grows his own food and doesn't need or require supplementation, really defeats your purpose. So yeah, like I said, given the right parameters and supplementation, I believe you can be a happy, healthy vegan. But following that model, you're also still eating plants grown in cancer and petrochemicals, which is level 1 carcinogen, and you're still spraying them with pesticides, which intent is to kill other living organisms. I care about sustainability, so we're on 2 different wavelengths there. And my way of life, like I said, is very sustainable and healthy, and I don't need your supplementations, I don't need your chemicals. You can keep them, right? So, yeah, you're right. You don't need it with the right supplementation, but I'm not going to spend that money on supplementation. I'm not going to be dependent upon, I'm not going to be dependent on people that I don't know for my health. I'm not going to buy food products where I can't see where they come from. I can't touch the soil in which they were grown. No, thank you. I'll leave that to you guys. Number 8, you can't be an environmentalist and eat meat. Okay, a couple things here right quick. I've never claimed to be an environmentalist. I claim to be sustainable. I claim to care about sustainability, but I've never claimed to be an environmentalist. My personal opinion, I don't believe you can be an environmentalist and be a consumer vegan. I just don't think. I don't think you can. Like I said, I don't think that you can be an environmentalist purely because you leave your oil power house, get in your oil power transportation, go to the oil power store, buy plant products, and support businesses that hang murder animals from the rafters, go to the cash register, pay for those plant products that are made in level 1 carcinogens and pesticides and petrochemicals with your fiat currency and get back into your oil power transportation and go back to your oil power domicile. Yeah, I don't think that makes you an environmentalist either. Don't believe you can be an environmentalist if you're dependent on big oil either. I don't think you can be an environmentalist based upon the things I said before. I will say that my carbon footprint is smaller than 99% of all vegans, and that's just because a byproduct of my sustainability is smaller carbon footprint, and I go out of my way for that because I care about my impact that I'm having. Like I said, not claiming to be an environmentalist. I also throw this caveat in there. The Federal Aid and Wildlife Restoration Act, aka the Pittman-Robertson Act, takes 11% of all firearm and ammo proceeds and gives it to state and federal conservation programs. In 2016, $1.1 billion in revenue was generated by this act alone for conservation. I like to see some of the big vegan conservation programs they have running, how much money they produce annually in the United States of America. Really interesting to see those facts for you. And those are people that are environmentalists on accident, really, if we're being honest, right? I can be honest. So if this consumerism, veganism as a whole is supposedly the embodiment of what environmentalism is, I can say without equivocation, I want nothing to do with that title. Please keep it. It would be a disgrace. It would be an absolute disgusting disgrace if that's what environmentalism is, to call me an environmentalist. It'd be disgusting and I don't want it. You can keep it. Number 9, why don't you just grow more plants so you don't need to eat animals, right? Number 1, I try every day to do what I can to make my homestead more sustainable, more efficient. And even if I was able to produce enough food to sustain myself and my family and sit back for future times, I still have to worry about the supplementation. I still have to worry about getting those nutrients I can easily get from the animals that I produce. And so, I mean, that's just, we come back to the same square. Vegans, and it's recommended for vegans by vegan doctors, by plant-based doctors, that supplementation is required, that you need supplementation, and that just is because of how low quality most of the food that is produced by plant agriculture, which is true. Now, with that being said, obviously the produce that I produce is way higher. I mean, there's studies that have shown that the fruit that we eat today compared to what our great-grandparents ate is 1/8 the quality nowadays, which is horrible, and that's just because of GMO. That's because of a lot of different factors, but it's because we don't know our soil, and the soil has just become a sponge to throw petrochemicals. The soil is dead. So, like I said, I wish that, I'm obviously working hard every single day, and it's funny that people are telling me, people that don't have a garden, don't have the aquaponics system, people that don't even have basil in a mason jar in the windowsill are telling me to do more. But that just goes to this consumer-based veganism mentality, right? So yeah, even if I were to produce, more vegetables, more fruits, which I try to every day, I still have to worry about that supplementation part. It is what it is. Now, I will say, if we lived in the Garden of Eden, I'll even concede this, because it's not really conceding anything. I think it'd be awesome if you could say, hey, this one plant will give you everything you need to be 100% healthy. Yeah, I would only need to grow that. That would be awesome. That would be in every raised bed I have. That would be on every piece of, I would grow that as much as every aquaponic system I have. Man, I'd be growing that in the windows. I'd be growing it everywhere. But I'm a doer. I do things. And I guarantee you the consumer-based vegans wouldn't do it because they're not doing it now anyway. So, yeah, spare me. Number 10. This is my favorite one, right? We're going to kind of touch up on kind of 9, but 9 and 10. This 10 is different. We're going to touch up on the same stuff right quick. The appeal to futility fallacy. Now, this is something that so-called smart vegans like to throw out because it's like their catch-all for everything. So simply put, it's arguing that there is no point in doing something because nothing will change. It's the idea of saying, it's the idea that, like, take big oil, for example. Well, in order to live in 21st century, America, civilized countries, we need oil. Oil is a part of the fabric of who we are. Therefore, because it's unsustainable, hurts the environment, isn't really an argument because that would be the appeal to futility fallacy. So there isn't really anything we can do about it, which is ridiculous because they have no problem claiming chimpanzees and our ancestors were somehow vegan, and that's how we should live. But when we talk about the actual sustainability practices of our ancestors, they absolutely don't want to talk about it. Kind of hypocritical to me. But at least with this, we can talk about, it's about intent, right? We're talking about the futility, appeal to futility argument here, that fallacy. So why don't we just talk about intent? And vegans want to talk about this. Pesticides, the intent of pesticides is to kill living organisms, kill other animals, kill other plants, kill insects. The whole point of it is to protect that crop at all costs. And you're doing it with a level 1 carcinogen, right? It's the intent of killing. And even talk about organic, for example. If you talk about organic fertilizers that don't contain petrochemicals, some organic, the organic fertilizers that don't contain petrochemicals, do you know what they contain? They contain bone meal, blood meal. They contain animal products, organic animal products, right? And so even if you're talking about an organic-based pesticide that you spray on, right? Because there's homemade organic pesticides you can make with garlic, mint, a drop of organic soaps, etc. The whole purpose of you spraying it on the plant is to kill the life that's already there. You're intending harm on other plants and animals. So I'm not saying that we can all be perfect, because we can't, but you can at least take some steps. If you're going to tell me that you're a consumer-based vegan, but you don't have a garden, you're not growing food, you don't even have aquaponics or hydroponic system, you don't even have a freaking mason jar of basil, cilantro, whatever, you're a hypocrite. You can claim appeal to futility fallacy as much as you want, but if you're not doing anything, I have no respect for you. You're going to use an argument saying that there's nothing you can do, but you won't even try. You say the science is settled on climate change, on global warming. 97% of scientists agree on, but you don't do anything. Yet the minority meat eater here, me, I have no problem producing my own food. I have no problem doing the work. Why? Because it brings value added to my life and life of my family. Because I care about that. Vegans claim that they care about that, but they don't do anything. Kind of hard to respect you. So, like I said, if you really truly believe in what you're doing, I would see a sense of urgency and I would see action with purpose, but we don't see that. Because the truth is, they're either don't believe it or they're lying to themselves. And the reality is, it's both. Number 11, the last one, you wouldn't eat meat if it weren't for seasoning. So I can tell you, as an islander minority, at that, having ancestry from Japan and Puerto Rico, I can tell you that consuming meat without seasoning, even raw types of meat, is considered a delicacy, and it's common practice, and it's actually very desirable by people of all nations of origin. This can be seen in sushi, sashimi, akaya, ahi, poke bowls. So yeah, I don't understand that. I don't know, like I said, where you're getting your facts from. It's probably because you're not very, I'm not going to assume, but if you're well-traveled and you go to other cultures, you can see that this is something that is actually a common practice. Anyway, we can talk about the health aspects of it all you want, but I'll just refer you back to your own study, the Okinawa study, right? Anyway, so that's one thing, and then my next pushback and question would be, as a vegan, do you use vegan salad dressings? Because when I Googled it, there was a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of different types of vegan salad dressings. It's kind of weird, but there's a whole bunch of them. Do I use seasoning on my meat? Absolutely. I use seasoning and I use herbs that I grow myself, that I don't buy from the oil powder store like you do. So I guess that's the big difference. I use seasoning, but at least the seasoning that I consume, I produce myself, right? And then the other thing I don't understand when they talk about this seasoning meat argument, there's vegan food out there that is seasoned to taste like meat products. Vegan burgers, vegan fish, tofu that's supposed to taste like different. So they're going to talk to me about consuming, about using seasoning that I grow here at my home, but you use seasoning that you buy from the local dollar store because you don't have the discipline to grow basil at your home, in your windowsill, and yet you want a virtue signal about meat seasoning, but you'll go to a vegan restaurant or go to a store and buy vegan patties that have beet juice to make it look like it's bleeding, make it look like it's a real burger. Come on, you guys, you got to do better. Anyway, so those are the top 11. There's definitely more, but they're just not worth mentioning because these were really the best of the best, and I went out of my way to find these. But these are literally the best of the vegans have to offer. So there you have it, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, messages, hate mail, which I'm getting tons of, please send it my way. Hope you guys liked the video, and as always, guys, long live the Republic.